cuts to the inside, gives the feed, shot to go, shot to go, shot to go! Helberg, left hand, shot, save, McEnroe! Game time! Game time! Game time on Long Island! The #1 team in the Tri-State has been upset by Smithtown East!
Carl's right. We will have a new #1 team.
How about that?
Riddle me this. Can two teams play a game where one team wins, one team loses, yet there are still two teams that win?
That sounds like a lot of bull.
What?
Sounds like a lot of bull.
That's a good point, but
Bulls versus bulls?
no. If two teams play,
Right.
one team wins,
Right.
one team loses,
Right.
is it possible for two teams to win?
No.
Really?
Now somebody lost.
I think it is very much possible. I think Smithtown East and Penn State won.
Oh, okay.
Because Penn State has Bobby Burns.
Right.
They
Somehow.
have Asari, the face-off kid, and they have Keenan. So there were three major future Nittany Lions in that game that all played major parts of that game.
They signed Burnsy out of grammar school?
It's incredible. It's out of control.
Freshman? I thought you were going to say because it was Bulls versus Bulls. Why?
No, that was actually a pretty good answer by
Smithtown
you.
East and West still go by the Bulls.
Stupid.
They couldn't flip a coin?
Let me ask you, are Sachem North and East, are they both the Flaming Arrows?
No.
They're not, right?
No.
What's East?
What's East? They're not the Flaming Arrows. There's no way.
I think they are.
They are?
We got to get Blyberg on the phone.
Really?
Where's Nolan, that great superintendent? Change the names.
Somebody's got to get a different name.
Exactly. How about Smithtown East could be called Big Boys Lacrosse? How about
no.
Smithtown East Big Boys? Because they took down our #1 team.
They did.
Mr. Lax, in his heart of hearts
Whoa.
in the Put a Face on It
Whoa.
segment, I came this close. And Stack will back me up.
Oh, jeez.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I was so torn by that game.
Your-
now, you and I listen.
Your face was not kind to you last week.
No, it never is, and some weeks are worse than others.
Well.
Buddy, you called the Hot Pod game with McCabe.
Yes.
I stood there and watched it with Butler, and we're going
Okay.
to bring him on in a second. And I didn't say that Smithtown West would win every game the rest of the year, but if they lost, I never thought they'd lose by giving up double-digit goals. I didn't see that
You
coming.
thought it would be a 6-5 or 7-6, 8-7. Listen, their vaunted defense had their first bump in the road. But you know what? It's like you'd rather hit that bump in the first week in May
Yeah.
than the last week in May, right? And listen, could you ever predict it if they were up 4 goals with 10 minutes left in a game that they wouldn't win it? No, you wouldn't predict that. But credit Smithtown East because they not only erased the deficit, they erased it in a hurry.
Yeah, last time they won against their arch rivals was in 2009. They won the game 9-5. So it's been a long time in the making. And West has stolen some of East Thunder through the years because West got close a couple times to maybe knocking off West Islip.
Sure.
Maybe knocking
Ward
down
Melville.
Ward
Hey,
Melville.
the only real the one thing I said with Smithtown West was eventually you're going to play with some pressure in the fourth quarter of a game, right? Because they haven't had any fourth quarter drama this season. And if you're going to win a county championship on Suffolk County, if you're going to win a state championship in New York, chances are you're going to have to play in a fourth quarter that has some pressure. Okay. Now, Ward Melville last year, the only real pressure they played with in the postseason was against Smithtown West in the county championship, but it was late first half.
Right.
They put that game in the rocking chair late and danced away. Now, listen, Smithtown West, it didn't happen on this day. It doesn't mean they didn't learn from it. They didn't get better from it, and now they'll probably react better to a tight fourth quarter. But give East credit. Give the Bulls of Smithtown East some credit. They had a big home game. They were feeling a little underappreciated. They had lost to Sachem North in a game that was tied late, and saw Sachem North run out and score the last 4 goals of that game, I believe.
Yep.
And, it was their day, and it's their moment in the sun.
Think Coach Lambert's happy?
Gotta be. I mean, listen, it's a great win because that is a great team. Whether you want to believe they're top in the country, top 3 in the country, top in the tri-state, whatever you want to believe. They are built front to back with very few holes. Smithtown West and Smithtown East found a way to beat them, which just opens up the intrigue for the overall picture, which we'll get to at the end of this show. We'll just talk about the big picture, and the big picture opened up even wider.
You know who Mr. Fourth Quarter is?
Mr. Fourth Quarter? Mr. Fourth Quarter?
That's his new name.
Really?
His cat's the JC.
Oh, because you're right. I mean, I think everything he scored, right? Mr. Fourth Quarter.
You know what he is? He's the type of guy that wants the spotlight. And
Yes.
he got it. Here we do it. Keenan loves the spotlight too. Ryan, just a pit bull. Look at that. Works his way in with contact, still gets the goal.
The name of the position is attack, and that's what Ryan Keenan does.
Yeah, no, he attacks in a ferocious way. Tommy Marino to Tommy Scoff from way outside. That would tie it at 3 in the third. Still tied when Christian Zawadzki going to hit my man Matty Hellberg. Look at this pass.
Oh, to the Cornell bounder.
Yeah, Colgate.
Colgate, I'm sorry.
Colgate.
I'm in trouble with Colgate now.
Yeah, it's okay. You have nice teeth. Ryan Keenan, here he is again. Just tenacity personified. He's like a pinball machine. So that put West up 6-3, 3-0 run by the Bulls. Which Bulls? The ones from West. A little tic-tac-toe here. On the doorstep. So JC to Danny Rooney, the sophomore, who had himself a 5-point day. That's in the fourth. Here's Joe. Jolt and Joe, doorstep,
Oh, man.
loose change. That would tie it at 9. And then Jimmy Cadigan, the freshman, still tied at 9. He's going to be great, isn't he? Look at the head up. He finds Hellberg. Hellberg finds the back of the net. So West was up 10-9 with time running out and no scoreboard to look at. Brian Burns. Oh. And that's Willits to Sajisi.
Yeah.
Sajisi. Sorry about that. That tied it at 10. Now, Johnny Danigelis to Burns, cutting the alley. 11-10. Over, right? Not so fast. Hellberg gonna find Cadigan. And Billy McEnroe makes the save and just wants to get rid of it because nobody knew how much time there was. There was no scoreboard operating at Smithtown East on Friday night. So let's bring in Butler, who called me when I was driving. I guess that game was Thursday night, right?
Yes.
Dill, what's up, brother?
Hey, bud.
How tough is it watching a game like that with no scoreboard?
Yeah, it was very, very tough. The storm, that crazy storm we had the night before, blew out all the power at Smithtown East, so no power. First half was very, very tough. Hand signals were made from the score table down low up to the press box. Second half, they had a little walkie-talkie action, so that worked out a lot better. But yeah, no. In the last 15 seconds, it was a little hectic.
So when my man McEnroe made his 11th save of the day,
Who knew?
he didn't know how much time was left, so you can actually understand why he just tried to get rid of it. But that was a little scary right there at the end for East.
No doubt. You know, I think the announcement was made that there was 15 seconds left after the goal. Then you had the face-off, one of the few that Arceri lost. We'll get to those obviously later on. But so maybe he's counting in his head. But you know, he said after the game, it was the greatest moment of my life. So I'm sure the seconds were ticking a lot faster in his head than was the actual case. So it almost was a really dangerous situation, but he survived, and it was a phenomenal win for Smithtown East.
It was an instant classic. I mean, let's face it. Whenever you're at a game in which there are 21 goals scored, and Dylan, Smithtown East's first lead of the game was their only lead of the game. It was the game winner.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there in itself tells you what a wonderful kind of moment that was for the Bulls of Smithtown East.
Without a doubt, you know, and West again, we spoke about it. You know, Kings of the Mountain, the best team in the tri-state. Some were saying perhaps in a country, and here is East. You know, just 2-3 miles down the road, looking for their respect, and they certainly earned it. You know, Arceri deserves a ton of credit. McEnroe's a senior. He said it was the greatest moment of his life, and just team win. But as a game, and I think even the West guys can appreciate it maybe about now. fantastic game. I mean, the best game that I've seen this year, and some were saying when they were leaving they're the best game they've ever seen.
Wow. I'm sure they were from.
I'm
sure they were from Smithtown. Yeah, listen, but you know what? It was their moment.
Jimmy,
Smithtown's moment.
When we were just watching the highlights, you know, Dill, this is a team, and we went on and on about Smithtown West defense, but I think there's got to be a huge shout-out. A Smithtown West defense that allowed just 4 goals per game coming in. But when I look back at the highlights, and when Cadigan goes to make that last shot, he did not have the ability to step into his shot because big number 4, Anthony Leto, the senior from Smithtown East, gave him a good ride, got him off his balance. And I think that was a huge part because Cadigan is going to set a lot of records for Smithtown West. That one right there, to me, didn't get his shot because Big Ant didn't allow him to get that shot.
Without a doubt, you know, and also it's there's a defender as well. His name escapes me, but leading up to Burns' goal makes a tremendous diving save to win possession for them, to get them that last possession where Burns scores. So, you know, it's as you said, the plays kind of behind the plays, and they made them all, especially late in that game.
All right, buddy, we've heard from you. Now we want to hear, and your headline was terrific. I know you put a lot of pressure on yourself about those.
The man writes his own headlines.
He does.
It's incredible.
Yeah, he wrote one about George from Garden City. He wrote about Burns from Smithtown East. So to me, he had a George Burns type of week. Thank you, brother. Mr. Burns,
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Intensity up the whole game, even though we were trailing. We just kept on getting our heads high. Once we got that tie, we had the ball. I saw defense was ball watching and wasn't paying attention. I saw the seam. Johnny looked at me, and I just finished it.
I've actually never had a better feeling in my life. I thought this could be the #1 team in the country. Everyone's been talking about them, really giving us no respect. Coach Lambert really, really wanted this win for us. Our whole team needed this win. We just did that.
No respect.
It's unbelievable, right?
That's what happens. So that's okay. Hey, it's their time. I mean,
You see our series eyes?
yeah,
They were
the old
closed.
Ultimate Warrior, man. It
Well,
was-
not the eye black.
Oh, the sun.
He was sick.
Oh, was he?
This dude was sick. I want to
He was
be
sick.
as sick.
He was like sick, like off the charts.
I got to do my picks this week as sick as this cat was because he was unbelievable. He is the story of this game because he dominated the X. 23 draws he would take. He would win 19 of those. So they had the ball a lot, Jim.
It's become the biggest facet of high school lacrosse. You have one of these dominant face-off guys. We see so many of them popping up. But hey, on this day, give our Siri the credit because no matter who Smithtown West threw up there, and they tried. Coach Moltisanti tried to make some changes.
He had Borello in there.
Yeah.
He had Greco in
Right.
there.
You know,
Good
it
cats.
was our series day. The Penn State bounder, and hey. Great game, man. They should ride that bull in the middle of Smithtown. But, Mike, you got to remember one thing. They're down 4 with 10 minutes left. The game is tied at 9 with 5 minutes left. Okay, this wasn't some dramatic pull a rabbit out of a hat finish for Smithtown East. They settled the game and found a way to execute down the stretch. And wasn't it funny, the last 2 shots of the game? Yeah. Freshmen, both of them. Yeah. Burns makes it, and Jimmy the Kid Cadigan has the save. Just shows you how, the growing trend of youngsters in these great lacrosse towns. 2 freshmen getting the final 2 shots for each one of those teams.
This is kind of snuck up on us.
Did it? Cinco de Mayo?
Here are the 3 hottest teams on Long Island as we speak.
Your Owls.
Okay, Massapequa. Rolling. They're healthy, they're rolling. Lynbrook, their only loss to Friends, and we wrote Scotty Craig's Lions off. But here they come, 8 in a row. Their last loss to Chaminade, and I've said it and I've said it again. He had that twinkle in his eye, Scotty Craig did when I spoke to him after that game. He goes, we're finding our way. We're going to be okay. Their schedule very top-heavy, okay? Tomorrow, Port Melville. They close the year with Sachem North.
And a good victory for West Islip against Penfield. I told you I was looking around at just what's going on around the state. Penfield's a team who lost to West Islip, okay, but has beaten West Jenny, they've beaten Penn Yan, and they've beaten Fairport. Some of those teams upstate that are synonymous with the month of June.
You're right.
So it's a good, Scotty Craig's boys, all of a sudden now, big factor.
What's today, Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo.
So what was last Thursday St. Patrick's Day?
Apparently.
It was. At least for the O'Brien household at Sachem North. Did you see what Sean did?
I did not.
In the comeback victory for Sachem North against Ward Melville.
But they are Mike Quick's Flaming Arrows.
They were down with 4 minutes left, 7-4. Shawnee O'Brien tied it at 7 to send it to overtime with a minute left.
Wow.
And then in overtime with just over a minute left in the first OT, took the pass from Joe Caridi, beat the goalie, and Sachem North had an 8-7 overtime victory against Ward Melville. What'd they do the next game out? Took on a very good Hills West team.
There's Mike Calvagna. 2-1 Flaming Arrows here. They're just, you know what? They're playing with a lot of confidence now. You know, you picking them in that impromptu put a face on it has just instilled a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Hills West trying to come back, forcing the turnover. Ryan Asvath not missing that. They're down 3, Hills West, but Dylan Radigan, a blast. Sachem North wins it 16-11. O'Brien, as you mentioned, with 5 points in the game.
Oh, he had the big. So he's on fire. My man O'Brien's on fire. All right, so let's look at this Flaming Arrow schedule. Who are these guys all about? Let's break them down a little bit. Their best wins, obviously against Smithtown East. That win looks even better now based on what East did to
Absolutely.
West. Bronxville is a terrific win, the overtime victory. The bad loss, and granted they did travel to Maryland for the game, but that loss continues to get worse. And listen, Spalding is playing very good teams in that Maryland District League they play in, but they're 7-11. That's a bad loss.
Hey, Smithtown East, Bronxville, and Ward Melville, those are 3 quality wins right there.
Fennell and Cherry asked for me.
They did.
They
They
did?
missed you. They missed Mike Quick missing the wood stick.
I stayed up to watch Darien Buchanan, which was a thriller.
It was.
I got to be honest, I did not think the 125th edition. Well, I shouldn't say that because I thought Manhasset would win by a goal.
You did. You
They
picked them.
didn't. I did. They lost for the 5th time this year by a goal. How is Cherry doing? Is he okay?
You know, he's very positive, and his team is going in the right direction when you think of how they're playing. You know, like, you know, Tyler Dunn is playing his best lacrosse of the year. You know, they're getting great goaltending. You know, listen, they're not as far away as you think.
No, they're not.
But, you know, then there's the thing that you got to be careful because, you know, you can't, close but no cigar doesn't work in lacrosse. Your season will end in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But, you know, like I said, Johnny Young in goal. They got guys that can do things, and this game became very interesting late.
Last year, Garden City won a Class B state title. They didn't win the wood stick. Who's winning it this time? It was fun.
Well, they won the last wood stick because it was the first round of the playoffs.
Well, do you count that?
Every time they play, it's the wood stick. That's why there's 125 of them.
It's crazy.
And it started in 1935.
Change the
Dunn,
rule.
Dunn had the first goal there. Then Kieran Burns of Villanova. Garden City, Kieran Burns heading off to Villanova. Garden City would take control. James Sullivan. Sully was aggressive in his junior year, Woodstock round 1.
Heard his dad was looking for me.
He was. He was. Put a face on the Indians, he said. Cody George. All Cody George does is bring it in big spots. And then watch Sullivan. This is what we like, Mike. Off the face-off. Get aggressive.
Do it, man.
Bounce shot right there.
None of that winging out stuff. Just go.
It was 7-3 Garden City, but here comes Manhasset. James Farrell, the captain bound for UPenn, makes it 7-5. But Garden City, Mike, you know what they did? Every time Manhasset got a sniff, Cody George would make a play. Rip City, he had the hat trick. It was 8-5. But again, watch Tyler Dunn. He goes swimming. Dunny, it's 9-7 now. So now Manhasset ball. Matt Farrell's shot is off. Look at Gavin on the rebound. See Gavin playing with a lot of confidence, man. This is a sophomore from Duke, and Tyler Dunn and Gavin, they'll both be back next year. So it was 9-8, and then Dunn. He had to get the final shot in this game. Look, was it the shot he wanted? Probably not. But credit the keeper, Danny Dolan, was right on it, saw it all the way. Good job by the defense, pressing out a little bit. That was Tommy Wright who made that shot. A very
good player.
Very makeable save. Also going to Penn State is Tommy Wright. The Penn State harmony continues here. So good game, good fight by Manhasset.
Question for you.
Yes.
If the wood stick Okay.
anytime they play.
But okay, so then why did Manhasset have to give him the trophy?
I think that is just part of the ceremonial presentation.
Oh, really?
Because last year Manhasset wins the regular season Woodstick, and then when they lose the county championship, Garden City beats Manhasset in the county championship. That was Woodstick number 124, which brought us to 125.
So they bring that big plaque to the postseason too?
I don't. Now there, you got. We might have.
Stack says yes.
Yes, apparently. So I think it's just part of the ceremonial thing that they make one team hand it to the other. But it's always a Woodstick because, listen, if it was 135 meetings, it would go back to the 1800s, which didn't happen.
I'm curious, George.
But the big goals are huge, you know. We gain momentum from them. The big goals always keep our heads up and knocks the other team down, and that's what we like. We like to keep our hope and knock the other team down, and that's what we did at the end of the half.
Really, what I loved about your game today was you made a ton of hustle plays. And I'm going to tell you, you'll see it on the film, but you probably drew about 3, 4, maybe 5 fouls during the game. So you, with everything else, everyone talks about scoring, but you're still able to do the little things. How important is that to this team?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, all those hustle plays leave us with the ball, and in the end, that counts as goals. So if we don't hustle for those balls, then we don't get the ball on offense, and then it's hard for us to score. So we try every practice to make as many ground ball plays, many pick plays, and draw a penalty as much as we can, and that's what we did out there against Manhasset.
Like
You're a big fan of Cody.
I love Cody George because he attacks and he plays the game aggressively, whether it's on trying to make a tough assist or trying to get a goal. He gets after it. And listen, Joe Kuzo has told me for 20 years the one thing he loves more than anything about lacrosse is that you can be 5'7", 165 pounds, and be the best player on the field. And that's Cody George is a perfect example of that. Case Mathias, all these undersized guys. You know what I mean?
Devin Dwyer, who was terrific this weekend
listen,
for Harvard.
Listen, look at Massapequa. We're gonna see it in a little bit.
Jimmy Burns.
Jimmy Burns, right? I mean, you know, that's the one thing about these undersized guys. They can be big time.
I hope Cody George keeps that interview with McCabe for a long time because you could hear McCabe. He was into Cody George, and defensemen don't like attack guys.
Yeah, no, listen.
And he was into him.
Multi-dimensional player, Cody George.
He was into him. Jim, what's going on with Chaminade?
State of the Union.
A week ago, scored 3 goals and a loss to Yorktown.
Yeah.
Get up to Greenwich late, taking some exams, so they got up there a little late. And at the end of the day, it was Greenwich that passed the exam in a big way. Greenwich had lost to Chaminade the last 2 years. This is the 3rd ever meeting. It's Nardi the save, and then Bobby Gogan gonna come up with the goal.
Now this is very un-Chaminade-like. You know, letting the pressure on the ride get to them like that. And listen, I don't think it's that Greenwich won. It's how they won, Mike.
Yeah. Jamie Paradise with the goal made it 3-0. So the Cardinals just jumped the Flyers right away. Sam Bonafide gonna get Chaminade back into it somewhat. That rifle shot makes it a 3-1 game. Second quarter, the ride continues for the Cardinals. Ryan Flippin is Nardi the save, but the mojo of the ball still gets into the net. Now Greenwich, they're up 4-3. So Chaminade had kind of cut this thing late in the half. Loyola bound Kyle Foote. Oh man, when that dude gets his arms free and his hands free, he's tough to stop. Third quarter, Luke Finneran does it again. He had a field day against Chaminade. Now in the fourth quarter, it's Foote. Can't leave this guy open. He's going to make you pay.
If anybody had any doubts why you have so many Connecticut teams in the top 20, well, this is the lowest ranked Connecticut team in last week's poll, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So this is the reason why. Greenwich has it all going.
Luke Finneran again, beautiful shot over the shoulder, going to the goal. So now for Chaminade, it's time to regroup. And what's the best way for Chaminade to regroup? Get these guys on their schedule. Look who they're playing Thursday. So St. Anthony will host Chaminade on Thursday. The Friars today play Fairfield Prep. It was a rescheduled game, rained out last Wednesday. Kellenberg, don't think you're just going to roll them. And then they have Yorktown and Darien. So for Weisericks guys, very difficult. You can see the Yorktown game Saturday live on the web, and then Sunday on Channel 414 at 9 o'clock. You and the whole gang will be out there. You mentioned Jimmy Burns.
Two top 20 teams.
No, that's as of the old poll. The new poll will be coming out tomorrow.
Well, they both still should be in the top 20.
Oh, God, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's what I said. Top 20.
It won't be interesting.
It won't be 6 for 7.
Be interesting to see what happens with Massapequa in the poll tomorrow. Do they go to number 1 with Jimmy Burns, the Quinnipiac bounder, healthy, feeling really good after the football injury? This is a team right now, we told you, has the longest win streak on Long Island, 9 straight. He didn't play in their only 2 losses this year. He is playing now, and he is having some fun. The Chiefs, Jimmy, you know this, they are loaded. Jack Korber, loose ball, goal, Chiefs up 1-0. They go up 2-0 when Ryan Tierney, that had to make his daddy Seth happy this weekend. One of the few things, the tough loss to Drexel, doesn't get into the tournament. He had the pass to Kirby, the Towson bounder. And then Luke Walker going to hit North Carolina bound Patty McCormick. That puts Hicksville back in the game at 3-2. But after that, Massapequa on fire. Tierney, the good draw, the good look. There's Burns. And then it's our buddy Craig Burge, who was sensational feeding in this game. Burns the goal. Massapequa rolls 12-4 after a slow start.
And Burge is more happy giving the ball up, happier giving the ball up than scoring. And Jimmy Burns has become a wonderful little story, Mike. A couple weeks ago we sat here, he had 6 goals versus Syosset. You see what he did there. Remember, first game of the football season for Massapequa, Jimmy Burns tears his ACL. Okay, that doesn't bode well for your senior year lacrosse season. This is a guy, as a junior last year, scored 61 goals. Burns has come all the way back.
So much so that he can talk about it.
It means a lot, coming back from it was tough. I had to work hard in the off season, but every win, every game, it's just special to win, be on the field with these guys, Even going in, even if I didn't do it, this would still be special. It's our senior year, and we want to go out on top, so that's what we're trying to do.
And this is your 8th game back. I think you came back during that Garden City game, and you've won every game since then. So can you look back at this point in the season as that sort of kind of propelling you guys forward, that Garden City loss?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Triple overtime, it's a tough way to lose, personally, and as a team, we think that we should have won that game. But, it doesn't always come out your way, but it's definitely motivating us to keep going and keep trying to win.
Okay, so I had kind of made up my mind that Massapequa was going to go to number 1.
Of course.
Well, hold on a second.
Natural progression.
After listening to what Burns told Dylan Butler after the game, it doesn't really matter to us. It's the guys between the lines that matter. We don't pay attention to anything outside. It's all 40 of us. Craig Burge said, number 1, if we get it, that's fine, but that doesn't get us a championship. And Jack Korber said, we're not focused about being number 1. We want to win the Long Island title. Now, here's the thing. In order to win the Long Island title, you have to win the Nassau title, and you're probably going to have to go through Syosset if you want to get that.
Yeah, Syosset and Port Washington, second quarter. The snipers come out. Anthony Carchetta makes it look easy. It was 4-0 Braves, but Port Washington's got some ability. Connor Jenkinson goes up top. It's now a 3-goal game, but the Braves just kept coming. Nicky Hatzapatrakis.
Very nice.
And Hatzapatrakis was doing his thing. The Hatzapatrakis boys, this time on the assist. Oh, yeah. Syosset wins 13-5. Hatzi with a 5-point game.
Mr. Lax picked Cold Spring Harbor to win this game. Of course, Huntington came back. I heard from Mr. Kosis right away on Twitter for good reason. His son, Ben, was terrific in the game. He had 4 goals. Witcher had 3. Billy Martin, 2 goals and 2 assists. Cold Spring still leads the series 5-2. But this is a very interesting series, Jim. Last year, Huntington lost in 4 overtimes, 4-3. The year before, they lost in double overtime, 6-5. They come into this game losing to Rocky Point, losing to Sayville. Then they beat Glenn in overtime. That's a good bounce-back victory for Huntington. Top 20 Be very interesting after listening to Burns and those guys if I put Massapequa at number 1. It sounds to me like the Chiefs don't want to be number 1.
Mike, sometimes when you walk down on Christmas morning, the best present you have is the one you didn't ask for.
Sit tight, Chiefs! Burns!